I believe you've made a very wise decision, one that'll dramatically help your business. What I think we should do is meet back at your office. I'll bring my engineer along, and we'll go over the details for your land.
Sounds like a good plan. Tell you what, why don't you give me a call on Monday and we'll set up a time.
Great.
So as you can see, OS2 version 2 is more than just an operating system. It's also a tool to help you make other sales. In Lesson 1, we looked at all 5 of the main benefits of using OS2. Its ease of use and compatibility, high performance capability, reliability, and productivity. In your workbook, you'll find more details on these benefits, along with how OS2 meets specific customer needs.
Hey, I heard you made a really big land sale. Way to go.
I couldn't have done it without this OS2 version 2.
I know what you mean. While you were working with him, I installed the OS2 version 2 on my laptop. I've been fooling around with it, exploring the system. It's really fascinating. Thanks for your help.
Hey, no problem. Where are you blasting off to?
Well, first, I'm going to go get that videotape training because I've got some customers who are going to really love this new OS2. Oh, by the way, buddy, you wouldn't by any chance happen to have an extra OS2 lapel pin, would you?
Yes.
Thanks.
In this lesson, we're going to focus on how to sell OS2 version 2 to DOS and Windows users. Both have some very specific needs. Not only will you have to address the capabilities and limitations of DOS and Windows that these users deal with every day, you'll also have to keep in mind their personal loyalties. You'll be asking them to switch operating systems, which is something many of them haven't done before. Let's look in on Rob, who is showing OS2 version 2 to a DOS user right now. He has completed his OS2 sales training, and he's out making sales calls. Rob has just finished demonstrating and explaining the 5 key benefits of using OS2, and is now ready to concentrate on what it can do for DOS users. Let's listen in.
I mean, those are just some of the high points about OS2 version 2. From what you've seen so far, Dick, do you have any questions?
Well, I can see that it runs these apps that you've shown me. But, I mean, DOS can run most of those too, and I'm not much of a chess player. So what's the point? And there's really just a handful of applications you can run with OS2, right?
No. That's why everybody is calling OS2 version 2 the integrating platform, because it can run so many different types of applications from different operating systems. I mean, it will be able to run virtually all of your DOS apps, Windows apps, over 2,500 OS2 16-bit apps, and there are hundreds of new OS2 32-bit apps being released as we speak. That's over 24,000 apps in all.
I see. That's a big plus. I didn't realize that OS2 could handle that much. But there's something else, too.
Like what?
Well, when it gets right down to it, I like DOS. And as far as I know, everyone in my department likes it, too. We've gotten used to DOS, and besides, I've got a big investment in DOS apps and DOS training. I can't waste all that investment, so why should we switch to OS2 and have to learn a new operating system?
Well, switching doesn't mean that you're going to have to trash all your apps and all that training. That's the beauty of OS2. It lets you work the way you want to. You'll still be able to use all your DOS apps, so your investment in DOS will still be protected. But if you don't have OS2, you're going to miss out on all the special benefits.
Well, like what? And what are we talking about here?
Oh, like the ability to run all DOS versions, greater system reliability, access to more memory. Oh, there are a lot of things. Why don't you let me show you what I'm talking about on my laptop?
Sure, go ahead.
What I've got here are 3 different DOS apps. Here I have an old spreadsheet, which was written back when DOS 3 was out. And here I have a word processor developed under DOS 4. And over here I have an editor for DOS 5. Each DOS app is running in a window, and I can move those windows around or resize them. Each time I access one, the mouse is active in that window. Remember what I told you earlier about the multiple virtual DOS machines? That's what we've got going on right here. Each of these apps is running in its own virtual DOS machine and is protected from the other apps. That way, if one goes down, it's not going to affect the others.
That's interesting. 3 different DOS apps from different versions of DOS all running at the same time and protected from each other. Protected. That's very interesting.
OS2 could run up to 240 different DOS sessions at the same time if you wanted. However, most hardware is going to limit you to a lot less than that. I don't know about you, but that's a bunch more than I would ever need.
What about memory? Are those apps all sharing the same real memory?
Each multiple virtual DOS machine has access to its own real memory, depending on how much RAM you have. In fact, with OS2 version 2, you can access 633K of real memory and over 48 meg more with memory extenders.
Well, that's definitely giving us access to more memory than we have now. That would really come in handy.
Let me also show you the increased performance your DOS apps are going to have with OS2 version 2.
Like what?
Like enhanced cut and paste.
What's so new about cut and paste?
Here, let me show you. I'll show you how to cut and paste between all kinds of apps from different operating systems. Let's say I'm working on a report using the word processor. To finish the report, I need some numbers from the spreadsheet and an illustration from the graphics program. First, I'll go into the Lotus 123 spreadsheet and I'll select some of the numbers that I need for the report. I'll select Mark and then highlight the data I want. Then I'll select Copy. So, I've copied that data from the spreadsheet into the OS2 clipboard. Then I'll access the described word processing program and my report file. I'll find the place in the report that calls for the spreadsheet data and I'll click on the right spot. Then I'll select Edit and then Paste to put the spreadsheet data into place. There, you can see that the spreadsheet data has appeared in the report. But we also need an illustration in order to complete this report. So, I'll move from the Describe program over to the Graphics program. Here in the Graphics program, you can see the illustration we need is already loaded. I'll just select the graphic, and then I'll copy that illustration from the Graphics program into the OS2 clipboard, just like we did with the spreadsheet data. Once it is copied, I'll move back to the Describe program and to the report file. I'll find the place in the report where I need that illustration, and I'll mark the spot and then paste the illustration there from the clipboard. And now the illustration is in the report. We've shared information between 3 different applications, each one running under a different operating system. Remember, these applications weren't even specially written to support cut and paste. You just can't do that with DOS. These are just some of the extra benefits you'll get when you use your DOS apps with OS2 version 2. You can run multiple DOS versions in separate sessions at the same time. You can cut and paste between different apps from different operating systems. You can get things like print spooling for all DOS versions. I mean, so much more. But you can only do this if you have OS2 version 2.
So what you're saying is that we can still use our DOS apps, but we'll also be able to do all these extra things that we can't do now. You know, I can see some advantages for us in using OS2.
One other thing I want you to consider. OS2 version 2 is easier to use than DOS. Remember the online help and tutorial I showed you earlier?
Yes.
Now there's even training on videotape available from IBM. That way when your new employees come on...
Wait a minute. New employees?
Well, whenever you bring someone new on board, you'll still be able to train them using the same DOS apps that you do now, except that it'll be much, much easier. There won't be any more command prompts or complex commands to type in when you're doing a simple task like formatting a disk or copying files and so forth. I mean, as you know, those kinds of system-level activities can be real complicated when you use DOS. Here, let me show you how OS2 handles those sorts of things. What I'm doing here is selecting the system icon and opening the system folder. Inside the system folder, there's an icon for the disk drives. I'll double-click on the drives icon, and this will open up another folder which shows my drives. Back over here on my desktop, I've got a data file for a report I'm working on. If I wanted to copy that file over onto my floppy disk, I just select the file and drag it over to the A drive and drop it. It's then automatically copied onto the A drive. Compare that with what it takes to copy a file with DOS. And when it comes to formatting, I just select drive A, and you'll see a pop-up menu appear that gives me several choices.